Hello, welcome back to 1874. It's time for a transfer even talk with myself, Dan Bardell, to talk through the latest transfer activity at Villa Park. Marcus Rashford, of course, signed, and he will be the main focus for myself on this video or podcast, whether you're listening to it via audio or video. This show is sponsored by NordVPN, so if you want to get a huge discount plus 4 months free and allow yourself to watch some football, then head to 1874.io/NordVPN. It's completely risk-free because Nord offer a 30-day money-back guarantee as well, so no risk at all for you. Apologies, there hasn't been any content over the weekend. I was away at the weekend, so I managed to watch the Wolves game, obviously, but I was away, so I couldn't really jump on and do anything else. Planning to do a normal post-match show later on today, just waiting for my guest because Jacob and Greg are very busy today, so I've had to line someone else up, so I'm just waiting for them to confirm a time, and there'll be a show, unfortunately, looking back on the Wolves game after that. Hello, AVFC Stato in the chat there. Always nice to see you in there. Provide me with some Rashford stats and I'll do my best to talk around them on this video. So yeah, as I said, I was going to talk about Marcus Rashford. Obviously came to light this weekend, and it's a big story, big story. Going to speak about Rashford, going to speak about Asensio in this video as well. And I think I'll start with a little bit of a transfer update. I spoke to Jacob probably about half an hour ago, and things are changing all the time. Centre half is not looking too clever for Villa at the moment. It looks like Disasi is completely off. That's not going to happen. Villa and Chelsea, usually who have a good relationship, struggling to negotiate. Chelsea seeing Villa as contenders. I don't think, well, competitors even for the Champions League space. I don't think that's going to happen, which is a shame because I think we need a centre-back body. Villa have said that they won't get anyone in unless it's someone who is, someone they really want, someone that's on the list. And Emery's shown before, if it's not a player he genuinely wants, then Villa won't panic buy. Think back to 2.5-3 years ago when Villa got in Jan Bednarek, like late on in the summer window. Pure panic stations, needed a body, got one. I don't think Villa will do that. It sounds like Villa won't do that. Emery's got the body of work that shows that Villa won't do that. I will say generally it has felt a little bit scattergun this January. It hasn't felt too precise. There's not been a lot of precision involved in what Villa have done, but no doubt, they are trying to get stuff done. A bit more shaping of the squad than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting the squad to be reshaped this much in this window, but we are where we are now, and this is what's happening. Plenty of movement either way, whether it's incomings or outgoing. So it's been a very, very busy January for Villa. I've been told that Bailey won't go now. That's not happening. I think there was discussions with Manchester United, but I've just been told that that's not going to happen now anymore. So Leon Bailey will be staying, which, whatever you think of him, I'm quite happy with that, because at the moment, if Asensio comes in as it stands, we won't be any weaker in the forward positions. We'll be the same in terms of numbers. If you look at it from the simplistic point of view of Rashford for Duran, Asensio for Buendia, and Marlon for Philogene, you haven't lost any bodies there, but it's the defensive area that's a big concern at the moment. They've let Diego Carlos go. At the moment, you're going to be asking Bogart to be that fourth centre-back. I'm not sure he's naturally a centre-back. In a two, could probably play with Mings in a two, like Konsa does, but I think you're asking Bogart and Konsa, or Bogart and Kamara at the moment. If anything was, God forbid, to happen to Konsa, I think you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. But I like Bogart in that defensive midfield position. I think he looks really good there. So yeah, there's some work to do before the end of the day for Villa, because they're going to need to, they're going to have to try and do something centre-back wise. But at the time now being 12:53, I'm not too hopeful, and all the noise coming out of Villa is that it's going to be pretty difficult at this stage. Saying that, they've pulled surprises before. If they can do that again, and maybe get negotiating with someone that they do really want to make something happen, they've obviously got the money to spend at the moment. But then that's the other problem. People know Villa have just received a huge fee for John Duran. I imagine if Villa are making a plunge for a centre-back at this point, they're going to get charged extortionate rates because of people knowing we've got money and where we are at this stage of the window. So I'm not hopeful that there's going to be a centre back through the door, which means we'll be going with what we've got. We've obviously got injuries in the centre back area at the moment. I thought Garcia looked good at right wing back in the first half. He was one of the few bright spots in that Wolves game in that first half. So essentially, we've got another right back now. We've still got Bogart who can fill in, and Kamara's obviously doing a job there in the moment. But we need Mings back as soon as possible. He needs to get back from injury, and we need to get Kamara back in that midfield because he's certainly been a miss in that area. Right, main topic of conversation for me is Marcus Rashford. So I spoke to a few people about this over the week, and someone who is actually very, very close to him as well. I've just watched the interview with Marcus Rashford on the Villa's YouTube channel. So liked how he spoke, seems positive. I think that's the thing you've got to do with Rashford. You've got to get him thinking positively. You've got to get him mentally right. And I believe that Emery and just being in a fresh environment of Villa will get him right and get him back to his best. He obviously hasn't played much recently, so I don't think he's going to come in and absolutely hit the ground running, but you would expect him to be involved in that massive Spurs FA Cup game on Sunday, which becomes a huge priority for me at the moment, an FA Cup run, actually, given where we are in the league. So I would expect that we'll see Rashford at Villa Park next weekend. As I said earlier, this is Duran's replacement. I quite like that Watkins won't have a centre forward, a natural centre forward breathing down his neck. He's just now got a couple of people who can play there. I think Asensio could play there at a push as well, and then Rashford and Marlon if Watkins isn't there, rather than having that genuine number 9 breathing down his neck. I don't think that's done Ollie Watkins any favours at all this season. I don't think it's helped him. Not sure where Rashford's going to play. I'm going to try and do a video with Jacob through the week where we can try and dissect that and try and look at where Rashford could fit in Villa's front line. On the face of it, the left 10 doesn't seem a likely avenue for me. Villa have got Rodgers and Ramsey. McGinn can play there as well. Ramsey's playing well there at the moment. Expect if we sign Asensio, I would expect Rodgers to spend some time as the left 10 and Asensio to be the central 10, although he could play as the right 10 as well if Villa line up in that way. My thinking is, Watkins is injured. He's going to be playing at centre forward. I think him or Marlon will be playing at centre forward on Sunday. It's going to be the right-hand side, which stereotypically I've not been a fan of Rashford playing there for Manchester United, but that's Manchester United, isn't it? They haven't been a good environment to be at for a few years now. Asking him to play on the right isn't the same as playing on the right for an Emery team, making those out-to-win runs, which is something he's very, very good at, Marcus Rashford. But without knowing any detail, that this is all pure speculation from my behalf. But Jacob did reference in his Athletic article that Villa were happy to have a multifaceted, multifunctional forward come into the ranks, and that's what Rashford is. To an extent, it's what Asensio and Marlon are as well. So Villa now got these multifunctional forwards to operate around Rodgers, operate around Watkins, Ramsey, whoever plays. So we've definitely got a lot of variety now. It's about whether we can get these players to settle. Can they hit the ground running? From a structure of the deal, I think I'm relatively happy with it. It's a lot of wages. Villa could end up, depending on performances, if he does well, could end up paying around 90% of Rashford's 300,000 plus per week salary. That's beyond Villa's normal wage structure, but it shows how much that they wanted him. And Emery's pushed for him. It's Emery that really wants Marcus Rashford. And by and large, if Emery wants something at the club, they try and make it happen. And by and large, if Emery does believe in something and Emery wants someone, as fans, I think, enough credit in the back for you to back him and trust his judgment, and he will think that he can get something out of Marcus Rashford. 27 years of age, no doubt lost his way at Manchester United, has become a big time scapegoat, in my opinion. I think he's done stuff he shouldn't have done off the pitch, but if you watch Manchester United on the pitch, he's not the only one to have bad games. He's not the only one to be inconsistent. And actually, that Ten Hag first season a few years ago, scored an awful lot of goals for Manchester United and helped them qualify for the Champions League. So this is a player, you're not signing someone who's at the end of the career or anything like that. You're signing someone who's 27 years old, who just needs to feel loved and just needs to come into a fresh environment. It's so weird seeing him in a Villa shirt, and I think it would be weird seeing him in any shirt just because he's been synonymous with Manchester United for so long. But I've no doubt that Unai Emery can help him. He can help get his career back on track. There's an option in there for £40 million as well. For what he gives you, for what he is, who he is, 40 million, I don't think is massively expensive. Of course, it's well known Manchester United and Amorim don't want him, so you could look at it a bit high from that perspective. But again, I think just given who he is, given what he's done in his career, 40 million is probably a decent price from a Villa perspective if he does do well. Now, if he does do well, and this is where loans, Villa have fell down with loans before, it might be one that Manchester United decide that they want him back. Two, if Villa don't qualify for the Champions League, could another Champions League club come in for him and want him based on his body of work that he did at Villa. You look at Sancho going to Dortmund and reinventing himself and going well in the second half of last season. He's gone back and got himself a move to Chelsea, and he's playing fairly regularly there and doing half decent without tearing up any trees. If Rashford does well, at the end of the season, there will undoubtedly be interest in him. And that's where the concern probably lies. The only concern I really have with this deal. If that does happen, one, it means he's done well, which is a good thing for Villa. Two, it means he's settled into the environment. And that's the really important thing for him at the moment, is to get his career back on track. And I would wager that if he gets his career back on track at Villa, he's going to be more likely to want to stay at Villa. That's going to be what he wants to do moving forward, because, you know, Emery's got a proven track record of getting players' careers back on track and improving players. Look at what he's done with his time at Villa. Look at every single player who has pretty much improved under Emery's tutelage. You know, this is going to happen with Rashford. We're going to have to be a little bit patient. He's going to be a little bit rusty. Of course he is. But I think with a bit of patience and just a fan base that maybe gets behind him, I think that will make the world of difference for Rashford. And I would say as well that, you know, there's no doubt that Villa fans will be excited about this signing and they will get behind him. Yes, he's lost his way, but, you know, years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this is an unheard of type of signing for Villa. Villa are nowhere near pulling in a player of this calibre. And just on the face of it, without knowing where everyone's going to play, you know, if you're playing in transition and you've got Rodgers, Ramsey, Rashford, Watkins, Marlon, you know, Bailey on his day if he ever starts playing again for us, you've suddenly got some really, really good options in there. And Rashford spoke about the type of football he wanted to go to, a club that played the type of football that would excite him and suit him, and that's what Villa will do. So I think it's a good move. It doesn't come without risks, of course it doesn't. But I think from Villa's perspective, it's a move they had to make, and Emery wanted him, which is the biggest thing for me. Anything Emery wants, I would say that I'm going to get behind. And a decent point from Adam Hewitt. I mean, you shouldn't sign players based solely on stuff like this, but signing Rashford puts Villa's name out there around the world. Rashford alone has 17 million Insta followers. It's a decent point. He will bring attention to Villa. I just wish we were doing a little bit better in the league at the moment. Obviously, the weekend wasn't great. Rashford again, he referenced Champions League. You know, I say this a little bit tongue in cheek, but Manchester United are an absolute disgrace at the moment. Lost again on Sunday. Actually, a step up for Rashford in many ways. Coming to an environment, coming to a team like Villa, coming to us now. He referenced the Champions League, playing the Champions League. That's going to be a really, really important thing for him, putting himself on that big stage again. This is a man who will harbour ambitions of getting back into the England squad, and Villa hopefully will give him the chance to do that under Thomas Tuchel. I think under Southgate it probably was never going to happen, but, you know, under Tuchel now, a fresh start for a lot of people. If he starts playing well for Villa, he'll no doubt get himself back in the England squad. And yeah, you look at the development in Rodgers' game. Yes, he's a lot younger than Rashford, but Rashford's still got stuff to learn. He's been at a stagnating environment. He's 27. He's not past it. Like I said, you know, he's been in an environment where training's probably not the best. You're probably not learning an awful lot. There's no patterns of play that really under previous managers. I know Amorim's trying to do it. You know, when he felt a bit of love from Amorim early doors, scored within a minute of Amorim's first game, and stuff's happened behind the scenes since then. And I think the environment, I've used that word about 50 times now, it is the biggest thing, getting him out of that Manchester United environment, giving him a fresh start. This is someone who needs a new challenge and a fresh start, and just being around new players and, you know, trying to show them what he's about, prove himself to them. I've no doubt in his first sessions at Bodymore, he'll do that. So I think it's a really, really exciting signing, and I'm really, really looking forward to watching him at Villa Park on Sunday. That's going to be a really, really interesting one. It adds kind of a different sphere to that game on Sunday. I mean, he could well be leading the line, playing as a number 9, and even if he does come in and play as a number 9 for Villa at times, I've faith that he can play there. I think he wants to play from the left, but I don't think it's about, you know, the actual position where he's playing. It's about the system that he's coming to work in. And like I said earlier, if he's playing on the right for Manchester United and it's not worked, doesn't mean it's not going to work for Villa. It's a completely different style of football. There is a style of football. There is patterns of play, and we're not where we want to be at the moment in the league, but we've still shown in some games what a crucial good team we can be on the big occasion. You know, look at what we've done in the Champions League. Rashford will fit in here. There'll be people that he knows as well, and I'm really, really confident that this is going to work. Obviously, Asensio not done yet. Looks like it's going to happen. It's pretty much there, I believe. This is the João Felix alternative from what I believe. I think Felix would have been the number 1 target, obviously a bit younger than Asensio. Asensio comes in on loan from PSG. You know, I've said this before, so it's a little bit dangerous, but if you've been at PSG, you've been at Real Madrid, you're a good footballer. The worry for me is it does feel a little bit scattergun. It's not been the type of signing that we've made previously. It's kind of that he's 29. It's a big name. Villa did this with Coutinho, and it didn't work. I don't really draw any comparisons between Coutinho and Rashford, but I would say there would be comparisons between Coutinho and Asensio. So just played more football than Coutinho has. He's not been a mainstay in the PSG team, but he's played games over the last year and a half, and he's a very, very talented individual, can unlock defence. He's got a good shot on him, good at set pieces from what I remember as well. He just will bring that finesse and that technique. And is that genuine number 10 that I've been saying that we don't have in our squad, and we definitely don't have since Emi Buendia's gone. We don't have that genuine number 10 who can unlock a defence. Sometimes Tielemans has to play there, but I think we all think his best work is as a 6 in most games when you're trying to break teams down. Asensio will be that type of player that can help Villa break teams down, break a low block down, and he hasn't played in the Premier League before. That's a concern. But Villa have signed other players that hadn't played in the Premier League, and they've turned out okay, haven't they? I think Pau Torres, after iffy start, got used to the Premier League and was a massive part of Villa finishing in the top 4. Villa with a lot of native speakers for Asensio as well. It won't be difficult for him to settle in. You'd imagine, obviously having Pau Torres there is a big thing. I mean, Martinez would help him in as well. A lot of that gang's on, actually, haven't they, in recent weeks, in terms of Moreno, Buendia and Diego Carlos. So they'll have a new man in their gang, which I'm sure they'll be very happy about. So I'll try and give a bit more detail on Asensio when it goes through. Might jump on and do another video when that's on, and try and talk through it with someone. Perhaps I just felt I had to jump on and talk about Rashford because I hadn't had a chance to do it this weekend at all. I've done Duran to death. I probably should cover it, but I've done Duran to death on Sky and TalkSport last week. I don't feel the need to do it again. If you go on my social media, I'm sure there's clips around. I think the main overriding factor is I spoke to someone on Saturday morning about Duran, and I think the message is basically that he doesn't really care about where he's playing his football. He cares about money. So he's going to be a loss because he's a good player and he scored a lot of important goals for Villa and had some really big moments. But he's gone. Rashford's in to replace him. I said that I thought it would be easy for Villa to get someone who wasn't an actual number 9 and could fill in and play there if needs be to back up Watkins. And that's what they've done with Rashford. Rashford can play with Watkins and he can play without Watkins. So it's going to be interesting. Certainly going to be interesting to see how we line up on Sunday. But attack feels like it's now where it should be in terms of numbers and what we're doing. Central midfield, very strong area for Villa as well, with 6 good options that can play there. The defence is the one that's worrying us. And if we've sold Carlos and we don't get a replacement in, I know the line is that Carlos wanted to go, but there's 2 sides to every story, I'd say, with that. I'm not denying that in the end he did want to go. But Villa have tried to push him out for the last 2 or 3 windows, so it's not as clear cut as it seems. But it would seem strange that we let him go so early. We must have been very, very confident that the Barday would come in. So that's a blow that he obviously turned us down. They'll keep trying towards the end of the day. You'd imagine Asensio's nearly there. Rashford's done. The main concern in the last kind of 11, 12 hours or whatever time the window shuts, so 11 hours now, will be on getting that centre back in. But the message coming out of Villa is quite clear that they won't get in someone for the sake of it. If they don't get in a player that Emery really wants, they'll go with what they've got, and that's what they've done before. So, yeah, 1,679 people with me now. Just trying to give a little update. Just wanted to jump on and do something. Obviously, this kind of day is a busy day generally for me, and a busy day in football as well, with things changing all the time. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for going on to listen and watch as well. Thank you to those that have joined me live. If you could subscribe to the channel with your post notifications on YouTube, then you'll know this afternoon when the pod is on, looking back at the Wolves game. I'm going to do that sometime this afternoon, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was another video at some point this evening as well. KG Wilson begging me not to speak about the Wolves game. I wish I didn't have to, but it kind of feels like I do have to, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're listening via audio, go and do all the reviews and things like that really, really help the channel. That would be much appreciated. I'll be back in a few hours, fingers crossed, all being well. So stay with the channel. Have a good afternoon. Keep your eye on Sky Sports News. I'm sure there's